The Wiggly Podcast, bringing your garden to life.
Welcome to podcast 194. It's the last in the series. So if you are going to miss the Wiggly Podcast, then go back and re-listen to all our previous episodes. I reckon that you'll probably have, 90 hours worth. So you're not short of a listen or two at that point. We'll be back late September. We're going to have a happy holiday, which secretly means that Michael is going to work like Billy-O, putting the catalogue together. I'm joined today by Ricardo. Farmer Phil is combining.
He's not here, is he?
He's not, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No, it's better without him.
This week's show, we've got Hannah and Rachel out in the foliage patch.
Okay.
We've got a few acres down the road that we use, that's supplied by Rupert Goody, who grows trees, and we harvest our foliage from there. So it's locally harvested and picked by Hannah, Rosie and Laurie, and it comes back here and goes out in the bouquets. Lovely. But first, Rich, Karen in the office at Wiggly Wigglers says, warning folks, please don't just cut down your wildflower meadow, don't trim it until all the bugs have bugged off and all the seeds have set.
Very true, very good. What's inspired Karen to say that, do you think?
Because folks phone in and ask advice on wildflower meadows all the time.
Yeah, well, that's very true. If you've got the luxury of not having to harvest your meadow for hay, then ideally, in order to give all the inverts the opportunity to achieve the majority of their life cycles, then, trim it September, October time. And it just means that a lot of the larvae, caterpillars and the like, will have managed to get their way down to the base of the plants, possibly even morphed into a chrysalis or the like before you go and hack down their foodstuff. So it's a good thing to do. But having said that, you can certainly trim, and haymaking is traditionally done in July anyway, because obviously there's still some nutrient left in the vegetation, and obviously if you're looking to get a cut of grass that you can feed to your animals, there does need to be some nutrient content in it. It will be the case that some inverts will have made best of the pollen and nectar opportunities that the lot of those the plants, the mix in a meadow will have already provided.
I see. So aesthetically, if you want it to look good, you could. I mean, it looks all dead. You could cut it because that would be replicating haymaking. Yeah. And haymaking fields are the fields that we all think of as permanent pasture.
That's absolutely right. The thing is, as well, I mean, the instance, a classic example here is the contrast between the Wiggly Garden and the meadow I've got at home. Now, the meadow at home, extends a couple of acres behind the house, and it is inundated with ladies' bed straw, and it has the most wonderful aroma of honey as you walk through it. And I remember taking Alison through there a couple of years ago, and Alison, who grows a lot of the plants for Wigglers, was completely amazed by the meadow, and it is a wonderful thing. And all that will happen with that is we'll put some sheep on there, possibly, where are we now, probably around about the end of August.
So save trimming it.
So that's obviously it's far too large. So the sheepies, which are living mowers, will graze it down, and they will still get some nutrient from some of the vegetation. Obviously, they'll take it right down, and they need to do that because obviously there are some species of the meadow and red pheasant and things like that need to be grazed down to sort of pave the way for lots of the other species, and that's what makes a rich pasture. You need to do that. On the other side of that, the Wiggly Garden that's ensconced in the middle of what is a field now that becomes the hay festival every year. I went up to fence it off to protect it from the sheep a couple of weeks ago.
Farmer Phil said, did you nick his fencing stakes?
Some fencing stakes, yes.
Heck.
Yeah, I've got nicked some of those. Well, from the bundle's been there for ages.
He said they're his new ones.
They are new ones, yeah. Well, I took some old ones and some new ones. And I did bring some new ones back.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's all right. He's got
anyway,
a few
you were up there.
Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, so I went up, But I did trim off the garden there because, you know, it has that most amazing display of Ragged Robin.
Yeah.
Which
Beep,
coincides
beep.
with the bang-on festival time, you know.
Yep.
So folks will say, God, I've never seen Ragged Robin like that. But one of the reasons that will continue to be as good as it is because of the fact that it's kind of trimmed off now. Now the Ragged Robin has gone to seed. It will have thrown its seed. So by trimming it and doing it in July, then there obviously is a chance that I'll be compromising some invert life cycles. And certainly the seeds from, say, knapweeds and oxeye daisies and things like that may not have matured to the extent they would by September. But the floral demonstration will be so much better by taking it off earlier in July rather than leaving it till September. And for a show garden, you know, obviously there has to be a balance between something...
you aesthetic tart.
Well, you know, it's
sold
all
your
important.
soul.
Well, you see, what's interesting here is that for us, by making that meadow as wonderful as it could possibly be in the springtime, when all those visitors go to the Hay Festival, what we're doing, of course, is we're encouraging those people to go home and replicate that environment in their own space. Now, if it didn't look as amazing as it does, then perhaps fewer people will be inclined to create that
so you're
sort of
just
environment.
trying to get it to look good earlier.
In that instance, what we're doing is we're encouraging the species that flower earlier on in the year more so.
Hey, listen, my chooks like my wildflower meadow, and I think they're pecking in the bottom.
Yeah.
So is that a good thing? Because they'll be pecking out space, which...
It's not a good idea to have chickens in meadows and things like that, because the trouble is they eat all the bugs and beasties, they eat all the inverts.
Is that what they're doing, is it?
That's what they're doing, yeah. They're scratching there, they're finding all those, any sort of hapless marbled white that might have found its way across the plateau that is Farmer Phil's farm, will almost certainly lose its life to Mrs. Chicken.
Shoe the chooks.
Shoe the chooks, yeah. So chicken, I mean, unfortunately chickens, whilst they do keep things down, they sort of indiscriminate over their feasting, really.
Okay. And when we come back, Rich, can I rely on you for chicken keeping part 3?
Indeed. We'll have the final and concluding part of the chicken run when we come back in, wherever it may be, in September. Yeah.
Okay, let's go and find Hannah and Rachel in the foliage patch for wiggly wigglers, bouquets, posies, cut flowers, and all our lovely, lovely floral bits.
Wow, so this is the cutting patch that I've heard so much about.
Yeah, well, it's just the foliage field.
The foliage field.
That's the main side of it over there. I think it's overgrown at the moment.
So that's the cutting patch on that side of this hedge?
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's blackberries out.
Steps of them
Oh, my
somewhere.
goodness. Yum. We can make wiggly jam, couldn't we?
Yeah. I'm quite excited about this holly, because look at all the berries coming on it.
Gorgeous. My friend has a standard holly tree in his front garden that just had so many berries. Every single sprig had berries on it. It was just...
And the birds left them alone? Or
They did for a while, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
For a little
keeping my
while.
fingers crossed that the berries will stay on till Christmas on these.
So is this field looks like it's got you growing in it.
Yeah, they planted this earlier on in the spring this year, so eventually this side will look much the same as that.
Wow, I just didn't... When I sort of kept hearing about the cutting patch, I just imagined like a small sort of patch of ground.
It's quite a big operation.
Yeah.
But, the farmer that grows these, they're all stock plants, so he's growing them to take cuttings from, to propagate from.
So this is not a Wiggly Wiggler's field?
No, this is... We're allowed to use it, the farmers let us use it, because it's just for the foliage.
Yeah.
This is quite good. This is Cotoneaster, and it's going to have some fantastic berries on it.
Wow.
Those will all go bright red. It's absolutely loaded with berries. But we've got a wedding coming up in October, so I've got my eye on that for them.
I think I know what Cotoneaster looks like when it's got berries on, but I haven't seen it before.
Yeah,
just as,
and there's loads of different types. Some are very tiny leaves, and you see it growing up against walls and by houses. This is another nice one that we're using at the moment.
And what's this purple? Is this purple loosestrife?
No, that is rose bay willow herb.
Because I've been on trains quite a bit recently, and I've just seen this absolutely everywhere from the windows of the trains.
Yeah, it's also called fireweed, and it grows wherever there's fires. It grows all along scrubland and, like you say, railways and that sort of thing.
Do we sell this as a wildflower?
No, it's an annual, so it does tend to just seed everywhere and pop up all across scrubland. It has very fluffy seed that just sort of blows away in the wind.
It looks a little bit invasive though, doesn't it? It sort of looks like it does take over.
Yeah, it will do. But the bees love it. I like that one. So we'll have a bit of that on the way back. That's Choisia, Mexican orange blossom. It's got lovely, lovely white flowers at a certain time of year, but the leaves are quite strong smelling, and you either love it or hate it.
Oh, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
It can be a bit overpowering if you use a lot of it.
For some reason, that reminds me of Spain.
I wouldn't know, I've not been to Spain. Lovely leaves though, it's got a lovely rosette of...
That's gorgeous, I
leaves.
love that. I might have to pick some of that and have it on my desk.
Yeah, it is a nice one.
So, I didn't understand. These look like sort of garden shrubs, and yet they seem to be growing what looks like wild in a hedgerow.
Yeah, they've got a lot of brambles growing up amongst it, and they should be all growing in rows.
So they would have originally been planted here?
Yeah, they're all in rows.
Okay. Oh, what's this spiky leaf thing that looks a bit like a holly, but I know probably isn't?
That's Mahonia.
Mahonia?
Yeah, it's got lovely yellow flowers in the middle of the winter, really early, January, February time, so...
I know, I've seen that. That's a sort of... Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
There's lots of bees on these thistles, aren't there?
I know. And you have to be quite like it topped to make it a bit easier to walk along. But in a way, it's quite a shame to lose all those thistles.
I think we're doing all right with plant names so far, aren't we?
Yeah, this is the one I don't know.
The variegated one.
Lovely variegated leaves and lovely red stems, but I don't know what this one is. It does look particularly nice in the bouquets. That's the main one we're picking at the moment.
We'll have to find out, won't we?
Yeah.
So how often do you come out here?
Twice a week usually. It's perfect for nesting birds in here because it's just never disturbed. Well, we only sort of creep around the edges of it.
Take a few snips here. She's probably got a nest in there, hasn't she?
Probably. Full of rabbits as well. But they've fenced all this new bit off.
Yeah.
Keep the rabbits out.
There's a willow. Is this?
Yep. That will be grown for the decorative stems. In the winter they're lovely orange and yellow coloured stems. They'll need taking back down to the ground in the winter so that you get all the fresh growth. There's that blackbird.
That must be her nest in there.
Yeah. It's Ceanothus.
Oh, that has blue flowers, doesn't it?
Yeah, clouds of blue flowers. And we were picking a lot of that. Probably the end of May, early June.
Oh, and does that keep? Do those flowers keep? Because I often wonder with these sort of things, if you pick them, whether or not they're good in bouquets, because...
Yeah, as long as you've got enough stem there.
Yeah.
And the leaves themselves. I think they're really lovely as well.
They're really textured, aren't they?
Yeah, dark green. It's like the later one, it's still got the flowers on.
Is that Ceanothus?
Yeah.
Gosh, it's completely different, isn't it?
Different leaves. A lot bigger leaf there. And the flowers all much the same.
It's something that I notice every year in people's gardens when it comes out. You suddenly see like clouds of blue everywhere.
Striking colour, isn't it?
Yeah. Whoops, there goes another blackbird. Ah, yes, you can see here now how it is supposed to be rows of...
Hopefully we'll get that
shrubs
cut back so that we can walk down there nice and easily. There's more Cotoneaster down there. Some more various sort of evergreen shrubs down that side.
So how long have we been using this cutting patch?
This one only finished just after Christmas, I think.
Ah, okay.
There's another Choisia here, and that's fine leaf on it. But still that really, really strong smell to it.
So why would this farmer have planted all these rows of shrubs?
It's just for collecting the propagation material.
Ah, okay.
So he likes us coming here to cut it because it's stimulating lots of new growth that he can then take for cutting material.
So essentially it's a sort of nursery, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, these are his stock plants. So these are the parent plants. And he can then propagate from these.
And then he would sell them on to nurseries, I suppose, garden centres.
Yeah.
How incredible just to have this on our doorstep, though.
I know. So lucky, really. Good one that we've got. That's a good evergreen one.
Do we know what this is called?
This is a type of laurel, quite a small leafed one.
Yeah.
We've got bigger leafed ones down the end there.
Now,
not quite so good in bouquets.
Laurel is the same family as bay, isn't it? But this isn't the one that you would eat or cook with.
No, certainly not, no.
Is it poisonous?
I've got a feeling it is to stock.
I love bay leaves.
Some massive bays over there, but that you can't get to them at the moment. It's so overgrown. I'm hoping we can get there for Christmas so that we can put it in the for Christmas.
So, Rich, we're in the beginning of August.
Yeah.
What's going on with the birdies?
Birdies tend to be quite quiet now, but I've noticed a few late broods of bits and pieces. In fact, I walked out into the garden yesterday and there's fantastic little wrens, baby wrens, just fledged, following their mother around the garden, which is a wonderful thing. That's quite late. Of course, one bird, and one of the most wonderful birds that just reminds me of childhood when I hear it cooing, is a wood pigeon, you know. And this time of year, because what they're doing, most birds have wrapped up, they've reared their families. Wood pigeons kind of coincide. They do tend to have nests right through the year, but they often coincide their breeding with the harvest, because they're stuffing their chicks with all the cereals, you know, that the farmer Phil and his chums grow. So there you go. And the other one of them, like wood pigeons, is you see them doing this right through the year, but they'll often, their flight is quite undulating, you know, and they'll rise from a tree, and as they drop, they sort of clap like that, and it's all about courtship. And mating and showing off a little bit, you know. And
is that the boys?
And there's quite a lot of mating going on. You know, watch them mating. And wood pigeons, females, are always quite keen to encourage the mating. You know, and often it's not
slappers.
It's not the human beings where, you know, you're relentlessly pursuing the female to try and.
Haven't you been out at Hereford at night? They don't wear skirts; they wear pelmets.
Pelmets. You know, I haven't for a long time now. I'm far too old for such shenanigans.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think you might be in a different age, mate.
I am now.
I think the women are fairly keen these days.
6 months away from 40.
Oh, good Lord.
Those days are over.
Here we go. Have a read of that.
Okay, here we go. This is scheduled to go onto blog for Tuesday, the 4th of August. No, but I'm assuming that would be a good indication, wouldn't it, for people to read it?
Just read it.
Okay. Jeanette, from South Yorkshire. 5-star review of live mealworms. Okay, and Jeanette says, I've been using mealworms for over a year now, feeding the wild birds. But 4 weeks ago, my spaniel fetched in a young thrush that had fell out of a nest, fallen, presumably, grammar's terrible, Jeanette, fallen out of a nest. She gently put it on the settee next to me. It wasn't injured, so we decided to try and bring it on, as we didn't know where she'd found it. We fed it on mealworms, which it squawked for every 2 hours. It eventually came and sat on our hand and waited to be fed. It is now old enough to go and is feeding itself. We let it go on Monday and it flew straight onto my shoulder, underneath the car, and was squashed flat. No, that's not really true.
Doesn't say
we
that.
let it go on Monday.
Sorry about that, dear listener.
And it flew straight onto my shoulder and promptly fell asleep. I think we've got a friend for life, and it just loves your mealworms. Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. Well, of course, as a young thrush, what could be better in life than a protein-rich, juicy, fatty mealworm?
But the mother normally must have this problem with the young. So does she just keep chucking them, does she keep throwing them out of the nest? How do they actually fledge and leave? Because they must keep coming back to mum for food because it's easy, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it does tend to happen for a while, certainly, when birds... I mean, they want to get out of that nest because it's a tight, confined space. Imagine you got 3 or 4 of your siblings in a space that's possibly half as wide as your torso, then you want to get out. So they want to get out, they want to leave, but obviously they're still reliant on their parents for some time after they leave the nest. So they're constantly squeaking and squawking to encourage the parent bird to keep coming back and feeding them until they're robust and strong enough to obviously feed themselves, and they will often follow the parent bird then and pick up hints and tips on how to do it themselves. But obviously with wild birds there's a great deal of instinct involved. But you see here, this young thrush will associate Jeanette as the main source for food. And so she is an adopted parent, yeah.
Oh,
that's good. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how she gets on, because obviously I imagine the song thrush will probably hang around the house and that area,
go to work with her,
waiting for the mother for quite some time.
Yeah.
So she'd just be mindful of the local cats and things like that. It might be worth just getting a stuffed cat and just hitting the thrush with it, just to discourage it from going too close to cats in the future.
Do you know what I was thinking? This is a customer for life, isn't it? It's like, when you join a book club and you don't mean to, but every month they keep turning up. It's the Wiggly Wigglers Digest.
I think it would be really interesting for Jeanette to let us know how she gets on and whether the said thrush lives through its first winter and the like.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Right. Just time for a Montycast, a weekly fact on wiggliness.
The Montycast, a weekly fact on wiggliness. If you take a trip to the woods, you are likely to find a little tree worm, but you'll have to look carefully because they're only about 3 centimetres long. Another Montycast next week on the Wiggly Podcast.
Thank you, Monty. Now then, we've gone, but we're not forgotten. If you need anything from Wiggly Wigglers, you know where we are. Of course, if you want to buy something, Rich, you go to the website.
Indeed.
WigglyWigglers.co.uk. We've improved our service, so you can order a bouquet up till 4 o'clock, and all our orders are currently going out. Really, they're going out the next day, but we're allowing ourselves 2 working days, so we've got better service going on at Wiggly's. And if you want something, ring us up, 01981 500 391. If you want to go to Facebook, you can just search on Wiggly Wigglers, and that's where you can post your photos and join in with discussion. And I'm on Twitter, @Wiggled. So's Farmer Phil. And Richard can't be on Twitter, of course, because he can't speak.
I might.
Oh!
I might, in the winter,
Yes.
as the evenings draw in,
Yes.
I might do a Twitter.
Yes.
And I might do a backdated one from all my adventures in the summer.
Well, I'll be. Now, what you'll need to do is you'll need to know these initials.
Right.
TBC.
TBC.
To be continued, so you can carry on your diatribe through tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet.
Right. Okay.
TBC.
We'll talk about this later on.
We'll tweet her off.
More.
Anyway, if you would possibly put a review up, we would love you to do that at iTunes, any store, anywhere in the world, but please let us know which one you've put it on, because I can't find them if I don't know where they are. And if they're in a foreign language, could you possibly phone up and translate them too, because we're not very good at that either. In the meantime, have a lovely, happy holiday from Wiggly Wigglers, and we will talk again around the 21st of September. Podcast returns. Can't wait. When we come back with podcast 195, we've got Terry on the show, Terry Walton.
Indeed.
That'll be nice.
Little contribution from the old boy.
Look forward to that.
That's what you call it, the old boy.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to go down
What do you mean, the old boy?
What do you mean, the old boy? Hey, what do you mean then? And if you'd like to listen to all the podcasts, then if you go to wigglyWigglers.co.uk/podcasts, you'll find them all there. So it's goodbye from us. Bye from me.
Bye from me.
And bye from Farmer Phil on his combine somewhere in Herefordshire.
Have a lovely summer, peeps.